everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking about charisma and how to become more charismatic, magnetic, and charming according to science. And you're probably thinking, oh, you just have to be beautiful. Well, actually, according to research, only 10% of charisma is accounted to physical attractiveness. So you could be the most average looking person on the planet and still extremely charismatic. And I'm going to talk about 3 powerful tips to become more charismatic. You can see the video chapters here. Tip number 1 is to have a vision. That means having an ideal in life, having something you aspire and go towards. Like you want to make the world a better place, you want to bring more beauty into the world, you want to educate people into learning psychology. And pay attention, these aren't necessarily goals. It's more like a vision that's kind of blurry, nothing concrete. It's more like an ideal that you aspire towards. So take this example. We have Marco and we have Jane. Marco is an accountant. He has a 9-to-5 job that he doesn't necessarily like, but he doesn't dislike either. He doesn't have any aspirations or doesn't really have like a strong ideal or purpose in life. He's kind of just surviving day by day. On the other hand, you have Jane, which is at the beginning of her career, but she has this ideal. She wants to bring more beauty into the world. So she's crocheting things, she's making jewelry, she's trying to grow her social media channels to spread more awareness regarding beauty. So she's working towards something. Who is more interesting to talk to? They might be earning the same amount of money, they could be at the same stage in their career, but one has an ideal and a purpose and one doesn't. Jane is going to be way more charismatic and interesting to talk to. Tip number 2 to become more charismatic is to be more authentic. The most important thing in a relationship is trust, and something we lack in today's society is trust and transparency, because everyone's posting just, a part of their life. On dating profiles, you're showing a really structured and filtered side of yourself. Same with social media. People aren't showing their true authentic selves, so we're not able to trust them. We feel like the world is fake around us. So when we see someone that's authentic, we gravitate towards them because we know what to expect. We know what we're gonna get out of them. We can trust them. And that makes someone more charismatic and just reliable. Let's bring our characters up again. Let's say that Marco, for instance, is really scared of what people will think about him, and he thinks that in order to be liked, he needs to be funny all the time, he needs to be smiling all the time, not talk about any negative things, he needs to dress nicely and act in a certain way and talk in a certain way. On the other hand, Jane is really comfortable with herself. She can talk about both positive and negative things. She can show both positive and negative emotions. She doesn't have that really intense filter and tries to, filter what she's going to say. She's not rude because, when we're talking about authenticity, I'm not talking about being rude and, not having any compassion, but she speaks her mind. You're going to be more attracted to someone like Jane, who is more authentic, because you can trust her more. You know what you're gonna get from her. And she's more relatable as well. You can see through Marco's mask. You can see when someone is wearing a mask and pretending and trying to be someone that they're not. And the last tip, and tip number 3, is to communicate clearly. If you want to have really interesting conversations where you articulate your stories or you have really engaging conversations full of revelations and you broach interesting, fascinating topics, then a really simple trick that you can use is to write everything down before you talk about it. Or, for instance, something else I like to do is to record myself while I'm talking about a subject. So let's say you experience something. Let's bring our characters up. Both Marco and Jane go through a really interesting experience. They go on vacation, let's say. Marco is talking about it for the first time, so he'll talk about it in general terms. You know how people talk about something cool that happened, like, oh yeah, we had a lot of fun, we went on a zip line, it was cool, right? But on the other hand, Jane practiced telling this story. She either wrote it down or recorded herself while saying it, or said it a couple of times. So she's able to give you details, sensory input. She's able, for instance, to talk from different perspectives, like, so I said this, and the person was like, yeah, but you're not allowed to blah, blah, blah. So instead of saying, oh yeah, it was really cool, we had a lot of fun, she's going to say, oh my God, I got there and I was so nervous. I felt like I was sweating because I'm so afraid of heights. And Marco told me, oh, he's not going to be that tall, but actually he ended up being twice as tall as, I thought. And you are able to give all these details and talk from different perspective and characters because you've practiced saying this story. You wrote it down. You've got your details straight so you can articulate it and communicate it clearly. So these were the 3 tips on how to become more charming and charismatic. 1 is to have a vision, a purpose. 2 is to be authentic and gain people's trust by doing that. And 3 is to communicate clearly, practice writing down whatever you're about to say. If you want to ask me any personalized questions and get a video response, then you can join my Patreon community. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think in the comments. Lots of love.